Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1985 Detroit Tigers season replay. Earlier today, we wrapped up the month of August with a 4-2 victory over the Kansas City Royals. And as we do at the end of every month, we have a video where we'll take a look at the standings, the league leaders through August. And then because September is tomorrow in our sim, we'll take a look at the September call-ups for our team, and maybe we'll take a look at the September call-ups for the Red Sox and the Yankees, since they are the two teams that are in front of us. So that's what we're going to do here in this video. As I'm sure most of you know, if you followed this series since the beginning, which was our 1980 season, I've already declared that this will be the last season that I will play and have it recorded and shown on YouTube. I will continue to play this offline for myself, but just as a reminder, this will be the final season that I play under the Detroit Tigers season replay series. Going forward, at the end of this sim, we will have the third season of the Seattle Pilots What If series. The What If series began in 1969, where we became the expansion team, Seattle Pilots. And the what if part is, what if they never moved to Milwaukee? What if they stayed in Seattle and continued to play from there? So we will be in our third season, 1971, upcoming, when this series ends at the end of September. And then in the spring, to replace this series, I'm going to begin a new series with the Arizona Diamondbacks as an expansion team. And if you haven't figured it out, what we're doing is we're playing the 60s, we're playing the 70s, we're playing the 80s, and with the Arizona Diamondbacks, we'll be playing the 90s. So we're seeing all the players through each decade. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And now that I live in Tucson, Arizona, the Arizona Diamondbacks make some sense for me to begin a series as the D-backs. So, okay, so there you go. That's what's coming up here in the short and long term. Now, we did wrap up the month of August earlier today. Let's take a look at the standings. And we'll look at the National League first. As you can see, with 1 month to go, the Cubbies have a 5-game lead over Philadelphia. Philadelphia made it interesting. Both Philadelphia and New York were double-digit games behind. And it looks like they've cut it in half. And I guess it could be anyone's game. I mean, the Cubbies certainly have the better pitching staff. The Phillies probably have the better hitters. But, well, you know, look, I mean, the stats are right here. We can look at it. Looks like the Cubs have the better hitters, and the pitching staffs are pretty equal. And then if you look at the National League, it's all but over here. The Padres are 15 games back of the Dodgers, so they're going to run away with it. Their team ERA is under 3. It's pretty spectacular. Let's look at the American League. Okay, here we go. So we did win today, but of course so did Boston and New York. So we remain 8 back. Boston is within reach. We'll look at these 3 teams' September call-ups momentarily. And the White Sox, pardon me, do appear to have a sizable enough lead that I can't imagine that they would give up the West to California or Oakland. Even Seattle being 10 games back kind of boggles my mind. They have 219 home runs, and they're batting .280 as a team. But it's their pitching that can't keep them in the ball games. So no amount of offense is overcoming what their pitchers are giving up. And so, yeah, we're down to basically the final section of the season, and we have the September call-ups. Let's look at our team first. As you can see, we have 4 players tired for tomorrow's game. But because we have the day after off, we're going to leave him in that lineup for tomorrow. Damon Berryhill does get recalled. Probably the worst trade I've ever done The guy was the number one player in the entire game based on WAR when I traded for him. He was offered to us. I guess Houston knew something that we didn't know. And he's been absolutely horrible. He spent almost the entire month of August in the minor leagues, and he only got into 6 games. And he did not do very well while he was in AAA. So he will definitely get some at-bats because he will likely be our starting catcher next year. So that is bad news for Marty Party. Mike McFarland, I've decided I'd like to try to get him 100 at-bats. He hasn't been particularly good either. So maybe as a catching unit, we're just, just not meant to be. Now, Billy Sample, he gets recalled. He's a useful player. Ricky Jordan, who earlier got 14 at-bats this year, did not get a hit, did not reach base, is recalled. Danny Heap is coming back for the second time. He was part of that Houston trade. He was up for a couple games earlier in the year. Tim Tuffle, who we traded for in the Jim Eisenreich trade, is now in the majors for our Tiger team. And Eddie Milner was already there. He's just really struggling, but he's been a good fourth outfielder and pinch runner for us. So we're going to keep him on the team. Now, Baseball Mogul typically will allow you to have, after the September call-ups, 40 players. This is the first time I've ever intentionally shortened the bench. So instead of 40, I made it 30. So our numbers are considerably less than we've had in the past for September call-ups. So just to point that out as we go over and look at our pitching call-ups. Now, yesterday, for today's earlier ball game, we called up the Gump and we called up Tom Glavine. We didn't need them, which was fine. So we were always intending to bring them back to the team. Vicente Palacios, who's never pitched in the majors, will be the final pitcher to make the roster. Now, we get Dave Smith back in 5 days. He's been on the IL for a month. And when he comes back, he'll slide into the closer role once again. And everybody will kind of scoot down one. That means we will have to get rid of one pitcher, and it'll be between Terry Taylor and Vicente Palacios. So in those 5 games, I'm going to try to use Palacios 2 or 3 times to see if he shows us anything. And if he does, maybe we'll keep him instead of Terry Taylor. So that's our September call-ups. Again, because of the shorter roster, we don't have as many as we normally do. I mean, before, we'd have an extra 5 more players in the bullpen. But we don't need to call any of those other schlubs up. They're all schlubs. So there's the Tigers. Let's look and see what Boston did here with their September call-ups. Not much. Mike Kingery and Ed Jurak are the only 2 that make the roster to sit on the bench. And if we look, they got a lot of players who are tired as well. We'll look at their pitchers. They must have a couple more. Yeah, they do. So they have Steve Crawford, who's a 73. Mike Smithson, who's pretty good. Danny Parks. I was just playing the 1980 series over, watching those videos. Danny Parks in 1980 was actually a pretty decent pitcher. And then he's just disappeared over time to the point where he's almost not playable, as he has not played this year. Wait, was he the guy that gives up all the home runs? No, he wasn't. I think that was on Cleveland. Joaquin Andahar, as he should be, is on a roster. And John Lester is in the bullpen. He's been there before this year. They do have John Tudor, who will be back in time for the final couple series of the month, and he would be there in time for the playoffs if Boston can get over. The Yankees, let's look at them. I don't know how this team did it. They've made so many bad trades. They traded Ozzie Smith so they could play Andre Robertson, and all they did was kind of propel them to maybe the division win. Nobody of note that they've called up. I can't believe they can't find space for Dennis Worth on the roster for September. Instead, they're going with Kiko and Lee Mazzilli. And their pitchers, yeah, they're going a little bit deeper. They have a lot of good players they could use. I mean, look at what they're doing here. They got Mike Magnante, Andy McGaffigan, Tim Scott. Steve Rogers has already pitched one game for them. Former Tiger Bryn Smith and Kevin Menden. Goose Gossage is done for the year. So their closer's Rigetti. And he's okay. Yeah, their bullpen doesn't look so hot, but they have so much depth. I think they'll be fine. And their starting pitchers are so good that I don't think it's anything that they should be concerned about. How many walks does Bob Tewksbury have? 10! Oh my gosh, that guy should be demoted. 10 walks. That'll be fun to see what he ends up with. Okay, so there's the September call-ups for the teams that matter to us. Being 8 games back with 30 games to go, I think our fate is written. I'm going to really make an effort to get more stats. The problem with our players is they're not very good. This is clearly a rebuilding year. And, we have Kennedy, who's been great up until about 2 weeks ago when he completely stopped hitting. Pegs just had a 4-for-4 game today. Eisenreich, Bass, and Tillman are all under league average rating-wise. And it's kind of hard to win when you have 5 players who are below league average. We may be getting some usage out of them, but as we get to the finish line here, they're all kind of losing steam, with the exception of Pegs and Big Hit Bass. And of note, Rusty Tillman has over 100 hits. Who would have thought Rusty Tillman would play, what might become around 500 at-bats this year? It's kind of remarkable. So those are the roster changes that I made today with the call-ups. I do want to get some at-bats for some of these other schlubs, just to kind of see what we have. I mean, Ricky Jordan really could be our first baseman of the future. At his 0-for-14 stint doesn't deter me. Matt Williams is clearly our third baseman of the future. And so, I'd like to see him get some more at-bats and to prove that he can play. And Mike McFarland, as I mentioned, with his 82 rating, with a max of 89, this is a guy that I want to get 100 at-bats for sure, because he might be our number 2 catcher next year behind Berryhill, and that would leave Marty Party out in the cold. All right, so really all we have left to do is take a look at the league leaders. So we'll do this as we typically do. We'll look at all the batting and fielding stats first, as I have it to pitching stats, of course. So that's dumb. All right, here we go. Looking at batting average, we currently have 13 players at 300 or more. And I guess that's pretty good for this game. Willie Wilson is the only Tiger hanging in there. He's been over 300 all year until recently. You can't ask for much more than what Willie Wilson has given us. I mean, he's only scored 59 runs. I mean, that is a real disappointment. And he's only stole 20 bases, but that's because he's been getting caught so much. And he's under contract for 3 more years after this. So as long as he stays healthy and can play good defense, there's no reason why he can't be our leadoff hitter for the future. And then you'll see Wade Boggs is leading the American League. Ricardo Saenz and Alan Cockrell, technically, and Randy Asador, all 3 of these Seattle Mariners players are all going for the Triple Crown. I guess you could throw Dale Swaim in there too. Bob Pate, that's a surprise. Ernie Riles is a surprise. I don't know why, but Lachelle Tarver always does well in this sim. And you can see the rest all the way down to Jim Traber of Baltimore. So a lot of big names in here too, like Robin Yount, Steve Kemp's MVP, Trammell, Dave Henderson, Paul Molitor. So it is good to see, mixed in with the schlubs who have found new life in our sim. It's a good mixture of both, and I'm okay with that. All right, we'll take a look at the next one, which is at bats. No Tiger in this. Chico Walker leading by quite a bit. 573 at bats. He'll be the first one over 600 as long as there's no injuries. Doubles up next. TK, good job by him this year. 34 doubles, tied for second in the American League. Willie Wilson has 27, and Jim Eisenreich has 25 combined. More doubles this season by any Tigers sim team that I've had in quite a long time, certainly since we began the sim. Marty Barrett is number one overall. All right. Who's grounding in the double plays? You son of a... There's nobody. Nobody on the Tigers has grounded into double play. Troy Neal with 33. I think he's got a 58 speed. Yeah, that'll do it. Got to get the lead out. Got to get the piano off the back. All right, so nothing else to see there. Extra base hits, total combined, accumulated. Dale Swaim, 67, one up on Randy Azador. I mean, Seattle had all those home runs this year, and they just cannot get over the hump. TK's got 52. Good job by him. Jim Eisenreich, 44. This guy, we'll take a look at Jim Eisenreich. You'll see what he's done combined here. And, okay, look, he batted 257. His on-base percentage is below 300. His slugging percentage is off 100 points from when we got him, although it was less than 100 at-bats. But you know what? I don't think I could have asked for anything more from a right fielder. Who would we have had out there this year? I mean, Kevin Bass would have been in right. Gibby would have been in left before we traded him. We really didn't have anybody that we could depend on in right field. And Eisenreich has played really well defensively. He's got 4 outfield assists and a plus WAR and a plus range. So, you know what? Not a bad trade. Not a great trade, but he's done his job. Okay, let's take a look here at the fielding percentages. At catcher, we don't have anyone that qualifies because Terry Kennedy started as our number one catcher. And when we got Berryhill, we moved Kennedy to the DH where he thrived. Berryhill's been terrible, so he doesn't have enough games played to qualify. And neither would Macklem. What's his name? I've already forgotten his name. Mike McFarland. God, what's wrong with my brain? All right, Mickey Tettleton, Butch Weiniger are tied with fielding average. You'll see every other player here. Lombardi for Kansas City and Gil Reyes for Minnesota. Both of their teams are 5th and 6th in the division. Okay, we'll take a look here at first base. Do we have anybody that qualified there? I guess Rusty Tillman does, and he's not that far off the pace. He's been a good defensive first baseman. Elvin Davis in the running for the Gold Glove at first. Darryl Sconyers and Sap Randall, the worst fielders so far this season. We'll take a look at second base. Lou Whitaker in the middle of the pack. A definite off season for him defensively. Kind of a real bummer, actually. Luis Alicea and LaRue Washington are both tied at 957, and Marty Barrett in line to get another Gold Glove. Makes sense. Third base, Mike Pagliarulo. with a 931. You know what? I'm okay with that. He probably won't be the starting third baseman for us next year, or maybe he will be, and Matt Williams will get a early season call up to take over. But I didn't expect him to be good defensively, and we know that he's so much worse than Matt Williams at beginning as starting double plays. Jack Howell's the best at 959 at the hot corner, and Gary Cooper, 929, is the worst. Okay, take a look at the fielding averages for the shortstops. Barry Larkin right in the middle of the pack. That's okay. He is 21 years old, so he's pretty young, got a lot of room to grow. Tony Fernandez up there with Alan Trammell, former Tiger, and Gary Templeton, who we're facing tomorrow. We'll take a look here at left field. We got nobody representing us. We sent Gibby away. Ricardo Sainz, 983. Antonio Aguilera. Oh, there's Gibby for the White Sox. Gibby, surprisingly good defensively in our sim. All right, we'll take a look here at center field. Willie Wilson in the middle of the pack. Has Daniel Fernandez ever made an error in the major leagues? He did. He made 2 errors in center field last year. And despite not making any errors this year, his defensive range is really not that great. Oops, there we go. Interesting. Okay, we'll take a look here at right field. Jimmy Eyes, a 990 in right field. You know, when he was with Minnesota, he played all of his games in left field and 1 in right. We switched him over to the right field, and he's got 4 assists, only made 2 errors, turned a couple DPs. Good job by him. I think he's worked out okay. Let's take a look here at hits. Chico Walker, 181. He's the only one that's got a shot at 200 hits this year. Willie Wilson down at 17th with 147. And all the guys you would expect to be there. We just saw the batting averages, so not a lot of surprises. Who's been hit by a pitch the most? Hey, I have Chuck Jackson 7 times. Mikey Pags 5 times. Kevin Big Hit Bass has been hit 4 times. Moving on. Home runs. We have a guy with 40, Alan Cockrell. He has 40. Dale Swaim has 39. Signs and Azador, 35 and 33. Throw Dave Hengel in there with 30. So we have 4 Seattle Mariners in the top 6 that have 30 or more home runs. And then you got Mark McGuire, LeLloyd, Kevin Mitchell. Some of these guys I expected more from. It's good to see Dick Davis getting in there now that he's an everyday player for the Brewers. Ron Kittle, only 21. He's, of course, on the downside of his career in 1985. Okay, home runs, home run percent. 7.8% of the time he hits a home run, Alan Cockrell. Okay, intentional walks. Randy Azador has 5. Doug Baker got intentional walked. What? All right. I mean, intentional walks in this game are not even close to the same as real life. It would make sense to walk Azador or Randall, but you would be walking them a hell of a lot more because of their power. On base percentage, Barry Larkin, 360. That's pretty good for a 21-year-old, right? He's walked 52 times. Only struck out 58 times. Ricardo Sainz, though, 412. He's got 72 walks. Very impressive. All right. Outfield assists. Kevin Bass has 6 total. Good job by him. Tom Dunbar, Jose Gonzalez, and Steve Kemp have 11. What is their arm ratings? Yeah. People are going to test Kemp People are going to test Gonzalez below league average, and Tom Dunbar right there. That's another reason why Baseball Mogul sucks. The only reason they have more assists than players who have better arms is because the AI will run on them more, because why wouldn't you take more chances? Clint Hurdle, with a noodle arm in right field, has thrown out 10 batters. That doesn't make sense. I mean, that's just not how it happens in real life. Good outfielders make plays happen from nothing, not based on opportunities. All right, so we'll take a look here at the on base plus slugging. And Ricardo Saenz over 1,000. That's amazing. We almost never have anyone do that, and I'm sure we probably won't this year either. But the fact that he's over 1,000 with a month to go does say something about whatever is going on in the dome there. Okay. Let's see. Plate appearances doesn't really matter. It's all the same. And blah blah blah. RBI. No Tigers on that list. I think actually, doesn't TK have 79? So I think he's just off the list. 123 with a month to go for Dale Swaim. That's amazing. Okay, what else we got here? We're looking at runners thrown out. Kennedy's thrown out 22. He hasn't played in 3 months behind the plate. Damon Berryhill had 20. Marty Party's got 7. I think McFarland's only got a couple. Not enough to register. Donnie Scott has 50. And that makes sense. He's got a really good arm. Okay. And so what's the percentages? Donnie Scott, 38.2. Bud Bowling for the White Sox, 15%. Holy schmoly. Look at his negative range and negative WAR. He's killing the Sox defensively, which is why they've probably made those trades this year for other catchers. Let's take a look at the runs scored. No Tigers on this list either. I mean, we've only scored 645 runs, and we've given up 604. So at this point of the season, that's a 41-run differential on a team that's 15 games above 500. So Chico Walker has scored 115 runs, and there'll be a handful more that'll get over 100, but we won't have one. Let's take a look at sacrifice hits. This is where we thrive, in the sacrificing of our outs. Doug Baker with 12, Sweet Lou with 7, Eddie Milner, Marty Party, Willie Wilson. Okay. Sacrifice flies. Yeah, we don't even click on that option offensively. Dante Bichette has 11. Gary Templeton has 10. Imagine how many he would have if he didn't bat 9th. He shouldn't be on that team betting 9th. All right. Slugging. 601 for Dale Swaim. Hey, TK's got a 461. That's nothing to sneeze at. Stolen bases. Stan Jefferson has 62. Alex Cole, 59. Otis Nixon, 59. And Felder, those are the elite speed guys. Willie Wilson has 20. We'll give him, he'll get to 30 for sure before the season's over, because we'll make him get there, even if it costs us. All right, and then let's take a look here at steal success, I guess. Yeah, Willie Wilson, he's barely 50%, which is just stupid. Baseball Mogul sucks. Who doesn't strike out very much? Marty Party. 7.6% of the time. There's Lou. There's Willie. There's Barry. We don't walk, we don't strike out. All right. Total bases, 309 for Dale Swaim. And Terry Kennedy has 225. Good job, TK. Triples. Barry's got 6. Mike Felder and Denny Gonzalez have 9. Kevin Bass got his 4th today. Walks. McGuire has 90. Mickey Tettleton walked a ton in real life. Pat Dodson did not. Danny Tartable. Interesting. Yeah, nobody in our team. We just saw Barry Larkin had 59, right? I believe it was. Okay, there you go. That's all the offensive statistics. Let's take a look at the pitching stats, and we'll wrap it up for today. I guess we start with complete games. Mark Langston, as you might expect, he's probably going to win the Cy Young. He's got 8. I don't know who's going to win the Cy Young. We'll find out. Let's take a look at the ERA. Ron Romanick, 2.75. Dan Petrie was right there before he gave up all those runs in his last start a couple of games ago. We had to yank him out of there. He's at 2.98. And then all the way down to Jack Morris at number 17 that have 4 or less ERA. So Jeff Robinson's at 4.08. I kind of want to get David Cone to qualify. He's going to have to pitch at least 6 to 7 innings per game the rest of the way for him to get to 162 innings pitched to qualify. He pitched very well today in the earlier game. Okay, there's ERA. Games pitched. Todd Fisher, 62. Jeff Montgomery, 61. Dave Smith will come back. He'll be rested, and I could probably pitch him 30 games at the end of the season. Shots, he's got 49. Jerry Don Glayton from Texas breaking it up. And there's Coral and the Creeper. We didn't see games played. Is that someone played in every game? I guess Dick Davis has 136 games. He is the DH for Milwaukee, so he's played every game. Okay, who's got the most double plays induced? That's Roy Smith of Cleveland. And John Tudor, who's on the IL. Okay. Who's hit the most batters? Mike Boddicker. There's Brian Kelly and Dan Petrie. All right. Who's given up the most home runs? Mike Warren, 41. The most he had given up is 33 before this season, and he's still having a good year, 13-10. ERA's gone up a bit, which, makes sense if you're giving up 41 home runs. See everybody else there. Oh, and Oakland plays in the same division as Seattle, so that makes a lot of sense, right? Innings pitched. Who's logged the most innings pitched? Mark Langston. He's got to be the Cy Young, right? He's 17-8. 18-5 for oil can, so he might be the better candidate. We'll find out when we get to wins. A lot of big names in there. No Tigers, of course. Innings per game? Yeah, we're not going to have anybody. Mike Witt, though, 7, almost 8 innings per game he averages. That's just dumb. Let's see. What do we got here? I don't really care about those things. Quality starts. It's not a real stat. Oil Can Boyd has 22. So does Al Lakowitz. Dan Petrie has 14. Okay, we're getting ready to wrap it up here. Saves. Bever and Mark Mercer both have 30. Dave Smith's been gone a month, and he's still in second place. Todd Fisher moving up the ranks with 9. Gossage is done for the year. I mean, Brian Harvey, Lee Smith, Bruce Sutter. I don't even know if Sutter's our closer anymore. Okay, saves. Shutouts. All these shutouts happened against us. David Cohn's got 1. Mark Langston's got 5. That's got a trump over what Oil Can Boyd is doing. Is Oil Can on here? He's got 1. All right. Starts. I mean, Langston and LaPointe, with 1 more start, will have as many as most starters modern day will have in a season. And they'll probably get 6 more, I'm guessing. All right. Strikeouts pitched. Oh, who struck out the most as a batter? Randy Azador 122. Not very many. Strikeouts pitched. Mark Langston, 214. Oil Can, yeah, he's 50 behind. I think it's going to be Langston. Check out all the rest. Brian Kelly has 111 for our team. So he's just off the list. Take a look here at strikeouts per 9. There's Brian Kelly. He wouldn't even know what would happen if he pitched 9 innings. Teddy Higuera, he had the most strikeouts per 9. That sucks that we lost him. And Dan Petrie. Okay, let's see here. Total bases, walks per 9. Wins. Here we go. We'll wrap it up with wins. So, Oil Can, Britt Burns. Is Britt Burns a legit candidate? Oh, I think he is. 18 and 10, 159 strikeouts on a division-winning team. What about Tukes? He's lost 9. Doesn't walk anybody. That's amazing. I mean, possible, right? On a division-winning team. Mike Witt, no. Steve Davis, no. Okay. Dan Petrie with 12. He's going to be our team leader. All right. Well, so there you go. That's the American League leaders. What do we do here? Let's take a look at the National League, just the main categories. Here we go. Flipping it over to the National League. We'll do pitchers since we have them right here. Tim Belcher's got 19 wins with a month to go. And he's going to win back-to-back Cy Youngs, it looks like. Darling. Bruce Robbins, we traded him. Man, remember how we just tried to make him something? And in 1985, he really found his groove. That sucks. All right. ERA, Tim Belcher. 242. There's Oral Hershiser, 248. Fernando and Bob Welch, all below 3. That's why they have a team ERA of 2.87. I wonder who the number 5 starting pitcher is. Okay, so there's the ERA. Take a look at strikeouts. Okay, Tim Belcher, not a strikeout pitcher. Where's he at? 149. I mean, he's 46 off the pace, right? And there's some big names in there. Darling, though, leading the National League. And in saves, it is a Dodgers player. It is Alejandro Pena, 33. Caudill with 32 for the Cubs. Shipinoff of the Phillies with 31. Scott Medvin with 28. And so on and so forth. There's Tom Gorman, who's on our Tigers now. Man, where would we have been without Tom Gorman? Okay, let's just look at the main categories. for batting, and then we'll have this all wrapped up here. RBI and stolen bases. All right, batting average. Hey, what do you know? Tony Gwynn batting .328, former Tiger. Jody Reed batting .323. Would you rather have Jody Reed, young, and hitting .323 already, or Lou Whitaker, who's probably almost done with his entire career in this game? Oh, Willie. Hey, Jay Buhner. I mean, I bet you all these hitters are all like 21, 22 years old. But they only have, what is that, 7 that are over 300. And in fact, the 25th best player is batting .267. That's tough. Okay, home runs. Yeah, they just don't hit home runs in the National League. A couple of Giants, actually 3 Giants in the top 5. Eric Davis, the Giant. Eric the Giant, I guess you call him now. Rob the Deer, and Luis the Medina. So that's not great. And then someone named Andres Thomas, who I think probably had 1 home run in real life, is crushing it for the Astros. Let me just go down the list. I mean, come on. Number 25 has 15. Not that exciting. RBI, there's 3 players over 100. Len Matusik, Cal Daniels, Andres Thomas, Jeffrey. I mean, you see the names here. Eric Davis right there. Pedro Guerrero, 77, wraps up the top 10. Wow. Terry Kennedy, who wasn't even on the list in the American League, would be 8th in the National League. And then finally, stolen bases. Ricky, he has 54. Eric Davis has 51. That's pretty much it. Everybody else is just jockeying for position on the leaders list. Okay, guys. I think that will do it for this video. We've got a month to go before we're all done. We're going to come back tomorrow and play the Royals, and then we'll advance a day to get the day off. And then it's just a stretch to the end. You may remember, of course, that we will be having a final giveaway for the season. It'll take place in game 162 versus the Orioles. We're going to give away 4 autographs. I already announced the 4th place autograph today, which is Cy Young Award winner Randy Jones, who we make fun of quite a bit on this sim. He's on Baltimore. And if you look at him and what he's done with his career in this game, pitching well beyond his 1983 season. Of course, he won the Cy Young in 1975, and so we're giving away a 1976 card with his autograph on it, which I think is pretty cool. So he only struck out 93 batters in 1976. Or did he win the Cy Young in 76? I've already forgotten this. Yeah, it was 76. So I'm giving away the card from the year that he won the Cy Young. That makes sense. I'm sorry. So yeah, he went 22-14 in 40 starts, 315 innings pitched, and he struck out 93 batters, had 25 complete games. So you'll get a Randy Jones a card if you finish in 4th place in the giveaway. The other prizes will be revealed over time here. We got some time before we start taking contestants for that. So just keep that in mind. And that's going to do it. So we're going to wrap this up. We're going to come back tomorrow and begin the month of September. We're a week ahead, which is good because I like to have that extra cushion to get the next series started. So until tomorrow, thank you all for watching and have a good night.